Hello everybody and welcome back to Creation Myths. This is going to be my last video of 2025 and it's a bit different in that its target audience is much smaller. This is really aimed towards people who debate creationists online, specifically on YouTube and similar platforms. We're talking people who are doing live debates on video with creationists on the internet. I have watched a lot of these debates over the years, like a lot. And I am often disappointed in the performance of the pro-science side in these debates. Now, I recognize that I am weird. I am the exception. Most real biologists don't even know that creationists exist, never mind debating them online. The vast majority of biologists aren't doing that, so the people who do generally aren't experts in the thing they're debating. And that's okay, but you have to recognize that if you're not an expert in the field you're debating, it means you have to put in a lot of work to be able to do it well. Remember, a debate is a show, it's a performance. Your target audience for your arguments isn't your opponents in the debate. It's the audience who's watching the debate. And you always need to be thinking about their lasting impression of what they're watching. You have a responsibility to not screw it up, because if you do, you're helping creationists. This is something that creationists have been taking advantage of for over half a century. You can go back and listen to Duane Gish debates from the 1970s. And if you listen carefully and analyze what's going on, you're going to find two things. One, he's not really making any kind of coherent argument. There's no coherent model or anything underlying the stuff he is saying. It's all half-formed ideas and snappy one-liners, some of which are actually contradictory with others. But two, you'll notice that he's absolutely crushing his opponents because they aren't prepared. So if you're going to get in the ring, you better be ready for anything the creationists are going to throw at you, no matter what the debate topic is. I can almost guarantee that they aren't going to stay on topic, so you need to be ready for anything. I've seen creationist debates on human evolution that turn into genetic entropy debates, or debates about the fossil record that turn into some random Neanderthal genetics debates. It's ridiculous how they just won't stay on topic, and we just have to accept that that's the case and be ready to deal with it. So I'm going to go through some of the arguments that, at a minimum, you need to be able to address quickly and clearly. And I mean, ideally in 30 seconds or less. Obviously, you're not going to be teaching any, biology lessons in 30 seconds. And that's okay, because that's not the point. In a debate, the performance is the point. You have to look confident, you have to look calm, you have to look unflappable. And above all, you have to look like you have the answers to everything your opponent says, while showing that they don't have the answers to the stuff that you say. In other words, you have to look good and make the creationists look bad. It's a zero-sum game, so you have to play to win. Here are the things, or some of the things, you should be able to address off the top of your head in a quick, snappy, 30-second little response. Okay, here are just some of the major topics you can expect, right? Mitochondrial Eve and pedigree mutation rates. Creationists extrapolate the mutation rates back infinitely in time as substitution rates. That ignores that natural selection happens. Genetic entropy, never been observed. Sanford wrote the book, Genetic Entropy, John Sanford, uses made-up numbers for the fitness effects of mutations, and a 2024 paper, Hancock and Stern Cardinal, 2024, disproved genetic entropy. And bonus, his Mendel's accountant software is literally rigged to only ever show genetic entropy. Irreducible complexity. We've directly observed the evolution of irreducibly complex features. Done. Information only comes from a mind. You hear this all the time from the ID crowd. We've directly observed specific functions like promoters from random sequences. No macroevolution. There's no macroevolution. Multicellularity, evolution of placentas, animals becoming photosynthetic, endosymbiosis. None of that counts? Okay, I guess we don't really need macroevolution to accomplish all the stuff that evolution accomplishes. Human-chimp genome similarity, when creationists claim it's only 85%, not 98%, they're comparing apples and oranges. No matter what metric you use to make the comparisons, humans and chimps are always the most similar, followed by gorillas and orangutans and so on. You always get the same pattern. There's just different ways of making the comparison. You also should know related topics on that, like with human chromosome 2 fusion. They'll say there's a highly active gene that spans the fusion site. There isn't. It's a pseudogene in a family of telomere-associated pseudogenes, and the newest genome annotations don't have it spanning the fusion site like the previous ones do. They'll also say that the human Y chromosome is too different from chimps. Those are structural variations, not sequence variations. It's mostly deletions in the chimp lineage. Why are we using structural variations instead of sequence comparisons like we do for every other comparison? It's just two different standards because they don't like the one. Radiometric dating doesn't work. The Oklo natural nuclear reactors prove that every relevant process and constant has in fact been constant and worked the way we observe today, going back at least 2 billion years. The mitochondrial DNA phylogeny and the 3 nodes with Noah's sons' wives thing, there's no way to interpret that phylogeny to make those 3 nodes represent 3 coexisting individuals. They're always descended from one another. Orphan genes. We have no explanation for orphan genes. Yes, we do. Most orphan genes have sequence homology with non-protein coding sequences in related taxa. So not only do we see where it came from, we can document the specific mutations that resulted in the new gene. Humans come from the Middle East, not Africa, so it's out of Middle East, not Africa. 4 things with this: phylogenetic nesting, raw allelic diversity, heterozygosity, and linkage equilibrium. Creationists can try to come up with ad hoc solutions for each of those things, but when you fix one of them, it makes the other ones a bigger problem. No transitional fossils. Do I really have to do no transitional fossils? If you can't answer there are no transitional fossils, then you have no business debating creationists, but fine. Whales, ceratopsids, hominin fossil record, obviously, synapsids, birds, even microbes. You've got a progression from more ancestral to more derived, overlapping temporally and spatially. You have plenty of transition fossils. There's the response you often hear to that is that the fossils are, well, those are chimeras, not transitions. A fossil with a mix of ancestral and derived traits is transitional. That's literally what those words mean. If you get the waiting time problem, that requires recombination rates thousands of times higher than what we observe. Creationists will say there's no junk DNA. Over 90% of the human genome isn't constrained by purifying selection. What specific sequence-independent functions is all that DNA doing, and what evidence do you, the creationists, have for each one of those functions? The answer is, I don't know, and none. Continuous environmental tracking, finally, let's do this one last. So you've got continuous environmental tracking or directed mutations or anything like that. That was disproved by the Luria-Delbruck fluctuation test all the way back in 1943. So that's nowhere near a complete list of the points you need to be able to address quickly and clearly, but it's a good start. That's the bare minimum. You then need to know how the creationists are going to respond to each of the things you say and how to respond to that. Always keeping in mind that you're putting on a show for the audience, and the goal is to get them to see that you have the goods and your opponent doesn't. That takes work. And if you haven't done it, don't debate. It will be clear to everyone if you have not put in the work to be able to do what you need to do. I think it should be clear to everyone by now that what we put out into the world online does actually matter. That's where most people get their information, especially younger people. So everybody has a responsibility for their contributions to that information space. Which means, if you're going to debate creationists, don't suck at it. To that end, one thing I want to do in 2026 is put out more content aimed at helping people more effectively push back on creationists, not just in writing or in face-to-face discussions with friends or family, but in debates. Because those debates happen, on various debate YouTube channels, for example. Those debates are going on. So the people participating better be good at it, right? Now, I would be happy to participate in some of these debates, but the fun thing is, the creationists don't want to talk to me. I think some of them don't like me, and I think some of them are genuinely afraid of me because of how the debates have gone in the past. But I know there are plenty of other people that those same creationists are still happy to talk to. So let's make sure that you know what you're talking about and what you're stepping into. If you're going to debate creationists online, I want you to do it well. So I'm going to focus a bit more specifically on how to get the science across while also winning the debate in terms of performance. So keep an eye out for that stuff down the road. Obviously, given the release date, this is my last video of 2025. So before we transition into 2026, I just want to say thank you all for watching and supporting me. Please, one more time this year, before you go, hit the like button, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel, and if you become a channel member, you get to watch this stuff when I upload it. You don't have to wait for the public release. Thank you all for watching. See you in 2026.